Staying in the courts in the Eastern Cape, the Public Works MEC there, Babalo Madikizela, will not face remedial action for now. He was granted an interdict against recommendations in a report by the Public Protector. Aviwe Mtila found he benefited from a tender for Winnie Madikizela Mandela's memorial service. Madikizela also wants the report set aside in its entirety. Let me take you to eNCA senior journalist Aviwe Mtila, who is at the High Court in Bisho this morning for us. And Aviwe, there were two separate applications. Please clarify for us. This was about don't mete out consequences on me until I've had the chance to challenge the findings that are the basis of those consequences.
Yes, this was to stop the remedial actions of the Public Protector, Aviwe Mtila, from being implemented, which spoke to the investigations by the Hawks, as also the provincial legislature looking into this matter. The other matter is still Part B, which is yet to commence. That is the setting aside of the report in its entirety. But today we heard arguments that describe the Public Protector's report as sloppy, confusing and incompetent, as we heard attorneys representing the MEC Madikizela, as well as the Premier Oscar Mabuyane, wanting that remedial action stopped in its tracks. Now that order was granted, and in fact the Public Protector has been interdicted from implementing the remedial actions. But just joining me now are the attorneys representing the Premier Oscar Mabuyane. Thank you for joining us at eNCA, but just your reaction following this Part 1.
Okay. We welcome the judgment which has been delivered by the court. We welcome the way in which the judgment was crafted by the judge, because it explains that there was a need for us to approach the court and seek this order in the manner in which we wanted it. So our client is very happy, because now he's going to have enough time to concentrate on the government work and his organizational work. So that's it for now, because we will come back on Part B of the application when that time comes. The real issue that we placed before court is that the rights of our clients have been infringed by this report. As you have described, we have demonstrated before the court that on the 11th of October 2021, we addressed a letter to Public Protector saying that please suspend your remedial actions pending the review application that we intend launching. But the Public Protector refused on her letter dated 12 October 2021. He literally refused to accede to our request, and he wrote back to us saying that he's not going to accede to our request. And what he has done in his report, in her letter, he clouded the issues by bringing her personal issues against the Premier, to say the Premier has negatively affected in the comment that the Premier made. Those comments that the Premier made when he was being interviewed by I think he was interviewed by numerous media houses. Then Premier seemingly made some comments on that ANC rally about the Public Protector. Then Public Protector indicated to us that she is not going to accede to our request, because the Premier has made some allegations about her, and such allegations have negatively affected her office.
And the Public Protector believes that the Premier received money in a criminal manner, while the Premier says this has been a loan. So we're going to Part B now. What can we expect there?
You will expect in Part B a proper demonstration on how this report was wrongly crafted, because we will demonstrate in court that the money that the Premier received was based on loan. And the Public Protector was given the loan documents of the loan agreement between the Premier and Babalo Madikizela, the MEC. By then, Babalo Madikizela was not an MEC. Then the Public Protector was given such documentation. Secondly, the Premier informed the Public Protector on his letter dated March 2020 that I paid the loan agreement between me and Babalo Madikizela in May. Then also the Premier afforded the public protector all the documentations relating to the top secret documents that were filed in Parliament, wherein the Premier disclosed to the Parliament that I had a loan with Babalo Madikizela, and that loan has since been paid. And all that documentation was before public protector, but the public protector decided to disregard all that necessary information. Now he has made a finding based on an information, on the one-sided information, the information that he received from Babalo, from Mr. Bam, without considering the information that was placed before her by the Premier.
Because there's already questions raised around this loan, even by political leaders, suggesting that how is a Premier then going to an individual for a loan and not going to a bank, for example?
That is a decision that was taken by the people of the Premier, because remember, Babalo Madikizela is his comrade. Would you go to the bank first than going to the person that you know, because you are not going to attract interest, and this person is your comrade? I would rather go to my friend than going to the bank, because my friend is going to give me money without attaching interest. So I think that's the same reason that the Premier approached Babalo Madikizela to get a loan, and they decided, for whatever reason, to regulate their loan agreement, and it was written down, and they signed both of them, and that information was placed before the public protector and was submitted in the provincial legislature. The Parliament is aware about the loan agreement between Mr. Madikizela and Mr. Baba and the Premier. Sorry. And
just lastly, when are we expecting then Part B to commence?
There is a lot that is going to happen. We do not know when public protector is going to file, but the time frames are set in motion. The public protector is going to file his report. He can file a record, or she can file the record, or she can file an answering affidavit. Once that is done, then we'll file a replying affidavit. Then the matter will be placed before the judges for case management. Then I cannot tell as to when can we anticipate the hearing of that matter.
Okay, thank you very much. The attorney is representing Premier Oscar Mabuya, and just after that interdict, successful interdict, in fact, that stops the public protector remedial actions from going ahead. Those remedial actions also talk to the Hawks investigating and the provincial legislature being involved, which they suggested here, representing by Tembeka Ngwaitobi Senior Counsel, suggesting that those remedial actions would have irreparable damage to their political careers and also their personal well-being. You understand, within the African National Congress, there is this step-aside resolution currently underway, and it was mentioned here, if those remedial actions were to go ahead, the Premier would be forced to step aside, which would dent even the irreparable damage that was spoken of here. But those remedial actions have now been stopped, and we are now waiting for Part B, which the attorneys here are trying now to set aside the report in its entirety.
All right, I've got to thank you for that. eNCA's senior journalist Aviwe Mtila, live for us in Bisho.